It all began with a crazy scene where an intergroup gang came into the city and kidnapped the mayor. Just as they are about going out, they met a group of SWAT teams sent out to put the situation under control, but it escalated quickly. They started shooting, but the tech guys outweighed them, and their number due to the sophisticated gadgets they came with. But just as they tried to make away with it, Superman surfaced and defeated them, and they were later arrested and taken away by the police. Just as Superman was about to leave, he was greeted by his old-time buddy, who opted to take picture with him, but his phone was faulty at the moment, at the middle of it. Another old-time friend, Jimmy, came with his camera and took the picture, which they thank him. Immediately, Superman called his team to clean up the crime scene. Flash appeared along with Cyborg, who picked a piece of Kryptonian gear fallen from the intergroup gang to examine. Superman explained that it held some kind of mother box, but Cyborg said that it's more than that, and to examine that, they need someone that knows the inside out to analyze it well, and the person that can do that is his dad, who is a technocrat. Lois Lane and Superman went to the lab to explore his genetic makeup, where Lois Lane was lectured on the history of Superman from first generation, featuring his parents and him when he was a baby, which Lois Lane was marveled. Later, Superman took Lane to Daily Planet, a media house where she works and does some documentation. On walking in, she bumped into her secret co-worker lover, Clark Kent, pretending to be a normal worker without her slightest knowledge that he is the Superman, who teased her of being with her Superman guy. Lane led him to the secret room in their workplace and kissed him. On the process, she suggested when he will invite her over to his place. Superman contemplated, but at the middle of the conversation, he told her that his parents are in town. That's why he was reluctant about the request. Hearing about his parents being in town, she persuaded him that since they're around, she should meet them. Clark literally didn't buy the idea, but in order not to get on her bad side, he agreed, and Lane was delighted. At the lab, Superman, Cyborg, and his dad analyzed the element, which matched with what they had with other Parkling instruments. Cyborg dad introduced them to another lab expert, Dr. Starr, who gave them more details about the instruments with sophisticated element, and they need a sophisticated resources to produce an alloy like that. He suggested they should go to Lex Luthor, which Superman thanked them for their time and level expertise, and then left. Superman went to Lex Luthor, who was on house arrest, and asked him about the newly modified meteor found in the city by the beast of alien technology, forming an intergroup gang on Earth. Lex pretended that he doesn't have any idea, saying that the intergroup gang have connections all over the world. Superman told him that he and his crew will get to the root of the matter, and when they do, he will come back. Lex Luthor later disguised himself and went back to his own lab to carry out his activities. Later on, a group of astronauts sent up to space to do some works on the satellite, their gadget biped indicating that there's an unidentified debris heading towards their spacecraft. They signaled Lex Luthor, who insisted to see the object they were running away from, but unfortunately for the astronauts, they couldn't survive. They're all crashed and died. When the object entered into Earth, the aliens started terrorizing the entire city. First, the patrol team sent out at the depth of an ocean were all crushed out by the object. While all these were going on, the Justice League was having a meeting about their yearly budget with the state. At the meeting, they discovered that Flash is getting married to his girlfriend Iris. They all cheered him and left. Lois Lane and Clark Kent met his parents. During the discussion, Clark Kent wasn't feeling comfortable with the discussion of his previous relationship life and a lot of other information his parents were exposing. He was afraid that Lois Lane will get to know more about him, so he was fed up with the whole discussion. The visitation didn't turn out well between Lane and Clark because Lane felt that Clark was hiding something from her, and she angrily went home. Later at night, Clark's mom came apologizing, saying that they spilled too much information, but Clark told her that it's not bad, just that he's afraid of danger he's going to expose her to if she knows about him. His mom understood, and they embraced each other. Next morning at the work, her friend Cass was patiently waiting with a cup of coffee. She handed it over to her and was eager to hear how the visit to Clark went, and also was informing Lane about Clark's behavior at work that early day. As she was still explaining all these, they bump into Clark, who offered Lane a cup of coffee, who's already with the one Miss Cass handed over to her. Clark offered to take Lane to lunch, that there's something he would love them to discuss, and Lane accepted. When they were still speaking, Clark got signaled and he left. The alien, which turned out to be Doomsday, was terrorizing the whole city and defeated the Justice League one after the other. While all these were going on in the city, Lex Luthor was in his lab cooking up something. Clark Kent later met Lois Lane at the restaurant. It was at that lunch that he revealed his true identity as Superman. Just as they were still discussing, Lois Lane received a phone call from her colleagues informing her about the incidents happening in the city, only for her to turn. He couldn't find Clark, but was left with a note indicating that he loves her. At the city, while Doomsday was wreaking havoc and has defeated almost all the Justice League, it was at the verge of knocking Wonder Woman that Superman surfaced. They fought hard and long. Even Lex Luthor with his sophisticated gadget was defeated. Superman later defeated Doomsday, but died as a result of the injuries inflicted on him by Doomsday. This earned Doomsday the nickname, the Killer of Superman. The entire city were saddened by his passing and were in distress. A burial ceremony was held for him, and that was how the movie ended. Thank you for watching, guys, and in the meantime, subscribe to It's Mythical for more mind-blowing recaps on this channel.